This is the Behind The Scenes Bulletin of the Seraphina Speaks for Children Who Think show. I'm your host, Seraphina Malina-Derben. Let's go right ahead to the bulletin, shall we? Hey, it's Seraphina back with the Behind The Scenes Bulletin. A few months ago, I started the Seraphina Speaks Substack. I wanted a home for writing about this podcast, but also about other interesting topics. For instance, I wrote a piece people like, called 10 Life Hacks I Know Aged 10. My favourite one is called Allergic to Bragging? Get over it like a 10-year-old does. I've been struggling on how to organise my Substack, but while I was doing this week's question episode, it came to me. Mama and I do the Substack together, and we were so happy to crack this problem. We danced about to loud music. Anyway, I think it was because we were brainstorming lots of questions. At the very least, we were thinking about questions rather than statements. This opens up ideas and helps us get creative. I thought I'd offer some more questions in this little episode. Did you figure out which questions are mine and which were ones from grown-ups at the end of the main episode? I think it's easy to tell the difference, but I guess I would, wouldn't I? Here's 6 more questions for you to think about. They're all questions from me. Can you tell when someone is lying? How do you feel about your bare feet touching things, like the floor or grass? What do you value most? Free time, recognition, or money? When was the last time you astonished yourself? When you see friends getting things you want, how do you react? And finally, what are you most grateful for right now in this moment? Why don't you pick 1 or 2 questions from this list and the ones in the main episode and try them out? You could teach your family to ask you better questions, the ones you want to answer. You're in charge of the questions you want to answer. Trust me, life gets better when we answer the questions we want to be asked. What are you waiting for? Before I go, if you'd like to be featured on this podcast, come join my correspondent team. All you have to do is post a review for the show on your fave podcast app. Then take a screenshot and send it to me at seraphina@seraphinaspeaks.com. Then I'll be in touch with you about being on the show. By the way, if you're looking for an idea of what to say in your review, if you're like me, you go blank, even though you want to do this, here's a question for you. Let me know what country you're listening from and what you'd like me to talk about in a future episode. Another way is to subscribe to my Seraphina Speaks Substack. Put the words Seraphina Speaks Substack into your search engine and it'll come up. I write social commentary on ordinary topics we take for granted. It's an extension of this podcast. Of course it is. I also create an interview series with change-making podcasters. It's fun when they give us a peek into what they're working on, or even where they record from. Maybe I'm nosy, but I love getting the inside track on how people live and work. Next week's episode is called On Disney. It's not a takedown, but I do have things to say about the Disney effect and the Disney machine. It's a fun episode I made especially for you. Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember to tell your friends, family, and teachers to listen into if you think they'll enjoy the show. Take care, everyone. Lots of love. I hope you enjoyed this bulletin, everybody. If you like what you hear, click the subscribe button. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for all your support.